Alright, so for this one I'm just going to be showing you the path animation stuff as well as looking at how big your city should be. So you can see this is just kind of a partially filled out representation of how big your city should be. So we're looking at fairly different areas of like our main city area, then maybe we have some residential stuff over here. And obviously you want to fill out the rest of it. I didn't fill the rest of it out. So you can see I built roads. Etc, etc. You don't have to worry about this stuff coming off the plane, that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to go ahead and go over really quickly how to do the path animation again, just in case you forgot or the document's not enough, it's perfectly fine. But the main idea was just to give you a sense of scale and how big I wanted your cities to be. So they're going to be fairly substantial in size, as you can see here. And we just want to make sure we have plenty of room for your ships to fly around or your vehicles to drive on, and also so we can have some pretty cool camera shots, etc. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, so I'm in my perspective view, the first thing I'm going to do is hit T to switch to my top view, and then in here we're actually going to switch to our spline tool. So if I come over here, I can see I have my standard create menu, right? And the normal create menu showing me my box, sphere, cylinder, all that stuff. So the one I want to click on is spline. And when I click on spline, the next option is called line. So I'm going to click on line, and then of course we have initial type corner or smooth, or drag type corner or smooth. So I'm going to go with a smooth on my initial type, and my drag type is going to be a smooth as well. You can experiment with Bezier if you want to. It just gives you a little more control on your curve. It's really up to you. So what you're going to do is simply draw out your path. So I'm giving myself enough edges, enough dots, that I can go back and fix it, okay? So I drew it out, it's right there. It's gonna be flat. So if I switch back to my P screen, my perspective screen, I can see that it's flat on the ground. So I'm just gonna hit W and raise that up a little bit and then start deciding how I want it to go. So a couple things you'll have to look out for is you're gonna need to make sure that your ship doesn't go through buildings. You're gonna have to adjust the curve to make sure that doesn't happen. So the way we adjust the curve is with the curve selected, you simply go to modify, and then you select vertex. And then I can come in here and actually grab them, and they'll behave just like anything else, and they'll kind of update that curve for me. And this is also where I can go in and add my depth to the line. So I can go ahead and add like some verticality here, etc, etc. So I think I have it go into this like crashed building here. So grab these two, make sure it goes under. There we go. This one, move it over a little bit. So you can just see I'm making just subtle adjustments to the line, simply just by clicking and dragging it. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and add my ship to it so we can see it animate. So I'm going to turn off my vertex mode, and there's my ship right there. So I'm going to click on my ship. Right now I have 100 frames of animation. That's not going to be enough for this. I'm going to need to make that much longer, but for demonstration I'm going to use 100 and then change it so you can see how that works. So with my ship selected, I'm going to go up here to animation, and then I'm going to go to constraints and then path constraint. And when I click path constraint, my cursor turns into this dotted line, and it wants me to select a spline. Okay, so I'll just select my line. Doesn't matter where on the line you click, it's always going to jump to the front of the line, the first dot you put down. So we can see there it is right there. And I can see that if I scrub it, it is just sliding along the line, which isn't ideal. So I'm going to come over here, and we can see our ship, and then we're in our animation tab. It's called the motion tab, and we have follow is unchecked. So right down here we have path parameters, follow. I'm going to click on follow, and then I would like it to bank Now you can see that it did not adjust the way the ship was facing, right? The ship is still facing sideways. So if I come over here, I can say, you know, what axis do I want? Maybe I want it to be Y. When I click on Y, it's now facing the right way. So now it's actually following the path. However, if I hit play, we can see that that is really, really fast to get through all that because it's only 100 frames. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my time configuration tab. I'm going to go ahead and increase my in time to be 300. Hit OK. And what's interesting is you can see that I already have a keyframe down here at 100. So that's my actual path animation. So I can just slide that to 300 instead. And now my new path, my new animation speed is going to be the 300. So you can see it's much more manageable, much slower, and more along the lines of what we want it to be. Right? Okay. So that kind of gives us just our very, very simple path. Now, once the path is done, you really don't have to worry about it anymore, and you can just adjust this timeline to make it faster or slower, depending on what you want to do. You also have more options for your bank and stuff like that, because right now what it does is whenever it turns, the ship is going to turn just a little bit because of that bank value, but you can actually increase the bank value if you wanted and do that. And you can also use auto key and keyframe on the line, which is new, which is really cool. So I could turn on like auto key, and then I can see, you know, I want my ship to do this right here, and then I want it to right here do this. So now it's going to sit there and do that quick animation for me. Of course, you don't like them, you can just delete them. It goes away. Okay, so that's pretty much it for path animation. Really, really simple to do. Really easy to edit your paths as well. So for instance, let's say I wanted to take this path and I wanted to modify it. I can come in here and I can actually insert new dots, right? So I can like click there and then click again and right click to end it. And now if I click vertex, I have a new dot here that I can simply adjust just like all my other ones. So if you decide you need more curve control, then that's the way to get it right there. Very, very simple.